So I'll get this question sometimes on a daily basis. What do I sell my baits for? Well, I mean, I sell my baits for what I feel I've got tied up in them and what I feel they're worth, not versus what other people are posting and trying to get out of their baits. So, with things like that being said, if you're pouring your own lead, if you're getting hackle feathers, marabou, rubber legs, anything like that, like at a good price, you just need to divide up how many baits you're going to get out of all that material, figure up your price, and that's how I usually come up with what I sell mine for. Now, I also sell mine based on the amount of time I sit in this chair, because this is the hardest part to me of this job, is sitting here in this chair. You're definitely not going to get rich on this. I mean, there's no way. You make a little bit of money, keep yourself tied up in material, maybe put a little bit of gas in your truck, in your boat, stuff like that. I don't see a way that a guy would get rich doing this. Now you've got other companies coming into the market. You got big name companies that are now producing hair jigs, hand-tied baits. They'll, claim they're hand-tied baits, but they're actually being put on a machine somewhere, and the machine's actually doing that work. There's a few companies that do have people supplying those baits to them to sell, which, they'd have to be selling them pretty cheap to be able to keep another place supplying them. There was a lot of bait shops that wanted me that wanted to carry my baits. But all these bait shops all wanted the same thing. They wanted it in wholesale. And I get that. I understand that. But I don't tie for a wholesale price. I would never sell at a wholesale price. To be able to sell these and sell them effectively, you need, literally, I would think, 1,000 baits in stock, 100 of this color, 100 of this color, 100 of this color, maybe even more than that, and be ready for those busy seasons. Put them on a website, build you a little store or something like that, put them in. But the hardest thing about that is whatever you put up on a website or in a store, is that really what people are looking for? Because usually not. Usually, all my best stuff come from custom colors. Somebody would send me an order. I want this color, and this color with, this color head painted, whatever. So I would adjust to that instead of doing a website. I never would do a website because, first of all, I don't have time to keep it upkept, make sure everything's full. I didn't want to pay for something else to help me sell my baits, because it was another cost, first of all, that went into it. And second of all, I could never figure out how to set one up. I tried all kinds of little things and never could get it set up. But with that being said, I've noticed over the last 2 years, sales on selling baits have gone down. And I didn't know, maybe it was just this area, but when I went to the Catfish Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, I seen that, the market for a hand-tied custom bait was low unless they were dirt cheap. I won't do them at that. And with that being said, the order I'm doing right now is painted jig heads and putting eyes on them. And this is the last order I'm taking. I'm not stopping time, but I'll only tie for myself and tie for YouTube videos. To me, it's just not worth it. I can't compete and won't compete with somebody that's selling, with 15, 20 of them for, $12, $13, $14, $15. I can't compete with that. What I've seen with doing that was you'll get, first of all, overran with orders. I mean, there's a fine line there, a fine line between if you're selling them too much, nobody wants to buy. If you're selling them for too cheap, everybody wants to buy. Then you become a slave to this chair. So I always try to stay about a mid-range. I checked with other people, watched, I'll watch what other people sold them for. And I was trying pretty close to match that. Be even with them, and also be able to sell baits and stuff like that, offer different colors, some different style baits. But selling them for like $1 a piece, even $1.50 a piece, with 2 different colored paints on the head, eyes stuck in them, hackle feathers, Chanel. Now, I'm not doing that. That's it. I'd rather focus more on guide fishing, than I would rather sit here in this chair. And it's up to you. You sell them for what you think you can get out of them. What you think they're worth. I mean, you've got to break the math down. You got to break it all down into how many 16th ounce crappie baits can you get out of a 1/4 ounce pack and neck hackle, saddle hackle? How many 16th ounce baits can you get out of either 3 yards, 10 yards, or a whole skein of Chanel? The same way. How much you have tied up in your jig heads? If you're making your own jig heads, you gotta figure in price of lead, price of the hooks, and then the other one that comes with that is shipping. The postal service has become horrible at shipping anything. To send out 12 hand-tied baits, a dozen hand-tied baits, the shipping alone on it's $5.30 if you just go and use the normal post office. Now, there's other apps you can get that'll break that price down a little bit cheaper, but it wasn't enough really. A couple years ago, I would have been getting my money's worth out of going through a middleman postal service rather than going to the United States Post Office. But I sent some baits 45 miles away, and it took 6 weeks to get them. 6 weeks. I've done it. Sent some to the East Coast, 8 days to get there. That's another one. Going back and forth to post office. People, didn't get stuff on time. They message you, hey, they think I screwed them. So when you do go to the post office, make sure you save your receipt. At the moment you send them, send a tracking number. Send a tracking number. That kind of keeps you covered. They can monitor the packages and all that, what they're supposed to get, when they're supposed to get it. Kind of give them an idea. They can keep going back and checking that. If an order got lost completely in the mail, that was here. I'd have to retie it, for no extra money. Actually, out the whole price of that order plus postage. To me, it's just this isn't worth the return on investment that I'm getting sitting here in this chair anymore. It's just is what it is. But if you can do it and you can make it work at $1 to $2 a piece or $1.75, whatever, go for it. Do it. Sell them. You're not competing with me anymore. I can promise you that. It's not hurting my feelings at all. So, and I've taught a lot of people how to do this, and a lot of people did learn how to do it and then completely cut my price in half, which it kind of rubs you wrong, but I mean, that's nature. It's the beast of this business right here. It's a cutthroat industry. Trust me. I mean, when you got big name companies taking this work away from guys like us that are just sitting in the garage, tying some up, there's definitely money there to be made. But, you can now go to Bass Pro, buy a hand-tied bait from all the big name companies now that are doing it for cheaper. And plus, you don't have to pay postage on it. You don't get a custom color, but, you're not seeing many custom color. I'm not seeing many custom color orders at all, period. Zilch, zero. So definitely time to move away from this and start focusing my YouTube around something else, which, maybe tying one up and going out and testing it. Now that I've got a forward-facing sonar, I can give myself my own results of what my baits are doing, because I wasn't getting any feedback on, other than somebody say, yeah, they bit on this, but I wasn't getting feedback on how they were actually producing. Very little feedback. But that being said, be stocked up before you sell them. Be stocked up. Be ready. Be ready to roll. Have it already pulled out of a box, put an envelope, and ship them on. That's the best way to tackle this as a business. Tying from for your family, friends, stuff like that, that's always going to be fun, rewarding. But to put them out on the market on other social media accounts and advertise this is what they are, man, that's getting rough. Unless, like I said, you're willing to tie for a wholesale price, which for me, that return on investment is not worth it, period, at all. But, I will still keep doing YouTube videos, tying baits, because I use the hand-tied baits. I will always put a hand-tied bait up against a plastic bait. And that's me. Until next time, we'll see you guys.